afternoon, everyone. This is Cynthia Motters with AmP&x for yet another podcast, and we have another exciting guest. And this is Dr. Melissa Gentry. Doctor, please say hello and welcome.
Hello, Cynthia. Thank you for having me for today.
We're so excited to have you. And just for our audience who may not know a little bit about AmP&x, we are a brand that is shining a light on abuse. And mostly we interview a lot of people that have had traumatic situations. But now and again, we love to have experts on to help people like that with various tools and give them guidance on maybe how they can manifest better lives and catch red flags and just really share some good knowledge. And it's great that we have, people talking about their stories, because sometimes it alerts people who are in a situation to recognize something that they're going through. So we love that. But we also love to have people come on and share some guidance. I just want to give a little intro on Dr. Melissa Gentry as well. She has committed herself to helping people transform their lives through various types of healing. And I was very impressed that you cover the gamut from, not only abuse, but anxiety, bipolar, all kinds of things, which I think is really fabulous. And then you also have a website called healingthelove.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Good. Okay, I'm glad I'm getting all this stuff right. And you specialize in neuropsychology. You earned your doctorate in applied clinical psychology, and you also hold a master's degree in clinical psychology. And now this was a new one for me. And I hope I'm not like sounding too out of it, but Tantra education. I had never heard that. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about what that is. And I'm wondering if also our audience has never heard of that term. So we can talk about that a little bit more. And I would just say, if you want to maybe elaborate a little bit on your background, I might have missed things because I was really impressed with all the accolades that when I was reading about your research. So if there's anything you want to highlight that I missed, please do so.
Sure, you did a very good job there. I'm also a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm also trained in EMDR, which is a great technique for people that have experienced traumatic experiences. And it helps people process trauma by integrating bilateral movement in the brain. So, which is a fancy way of saying the right and left brain need to talk together for integration.
Yeah, so okay, that was another one that I wrote down, and I was like, EMDR. I had never heard of that. Let's start with that since we're on that, and then we can go back to Tantra. Can you go a little deeper into that? Because is that using like eye movement, or is that what I read?
Correct. Yes, it stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And so sometimes they may use an actual probe that you follow with your eyes. But sometimes patients may do it with their eyes closed and use a technique called tapping.
Oh, okay. I've heard of tapping, yes.
Yeah, but it's all about creating a new neural pathway and getting the right and left side, that bilateral movement to create the integration in the brain.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it sounds very technical. So that's something you specialize in. And is that what you would kind of, for lack of a better term, like hypnosis? Is that what you're using in hypnosis?
Oh no, those are two completely different treatments.
Okay.
Yeah. Hypnotherapy, we're diving into the subconscious and unconscious mind, which is 88% of our mind. Only 12% is conscious. So the subconscious.
Wait a minute. Can you say that again? Because I think I heard we're only 12% conscious.
That's correct. Yes. Only 12%. And that's if it's coming online.
Holy moly.
Majority of people are operating from the subconscious and unconscious mind. And a lot of that is programmed when we're children. So yes, lots of patterns.
There's all this stuff kind of working in the background that we're not really maybe aware of, that is just subconsciously from our upbringing or habits or something?
Absolutely. Habits, upbringing. Yes, because when we're around 8 or 9 years old, this very thin layer develops in between the subconscious and the conscious mind, and we call that the critical mind. It's kind of like the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
As things happen, we rate them as either positive or negative experiences.
Mhm.
And then we just kind of operate from that 8 or 9-year-old brain, unless we do things like therapy.
Yeah, yeah. And that's probably why, and I'm surmising a little bit, sometimes people, I wonder, like, gosh, why do they keep going to the same kind of abusive person? And it's
Right.
maybe because, they're making some connection with this negativity that is a habit that they've had. And in some way, it's what they're used to or something. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. People that grow up in traumatic situations where the parents aren't communicating very well, or there's a domestic violence situation, or maybe some drug abuse, they
Mhm,
can they can develop what I like to call the trauma bond later in life,
mhm.
where they'll attach to someone with a similar behavior as one of these dysfunctional parents, and
Right.
they'll associate the thrill and the adrenaline with love and be like, oh, well, this is love, but no, this is actually dysfunction, and it's what I call a trauma bond. But they'll repeat that pattern
Right.
until they heal it, because
Yeah.
we're trying to heal the initial trauma always, especially in relationships.
Yeah.
So
You would think it would be counterintuitive, and that you had grown up with maybe some trauma, and so you're going to do your best to avoid it. But I guess it's that subconscious is kind of working you down this path until you get therapy to kind of clean that up.
absolutely. I mean, imago therapy, which is a couples therapy, actually talks about that you seek that partner out that reminds you of the parent that you are most traumatized by or had a difficult time with,
Mhm.
because you're wanting to work it out. You're wanting to heal it,
Right.
because you're like, this time they're going to be different, or this time they're going to show up for me.
Yeah. Or this time I'm going to save them or rescue them or fix it. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I never really looked at it that way. Thank you for that. And then the Tantra, can you give us a little description of that?
Absolutely. Tantra is very healing, especially for sexual abuse.
Mhm.
But there's many different layers to Tantra. Like
Mm.
you have white Tantra, pink Tantra, red Tantra, and then black Tantra. But a lot of white Tantra really focuses on loving yourself, learning to connect to your energy body, and
Mm.
learning to emotionally regulate, learning things like breath work, energy, learning how to run this energy with yourself.
Mhm.
And also like things like mantras and meditative experiences. And then pink tantra, you start integrating this with another person and
Oh,
learning to really run this loving energy with somebody else.
wow,
Um,
that sounds so enriching.
yes, definitely.
Yeah. And I'm always curious, like, what led you to this path? Like, how did you go hone in on this? Where did you have a situation, or did you just have the need to want to help people in these situations?
I got very addicted to, I used to be in theater, and I was always addicted to wanting to make people feel better. And so
Hmm.
people would come to a theater show and they would have these big smiles on when they would leave, but it was temporary.
Right.
And then I went to therapy myself. Yes, I mean, there were definitely some challenges and some dysfunction. And I realized, wow, therapy changes your life forever.
Hmm.
And your life will just increasingly get better. And the more tools and skills that you have, it just keeps building. And then I devoted my life to learning more and more and just trying to help as many people as I can.
So great. I think some people too, not everyone. I mean, I have some friends that really embrace therapy, but then I have people that I talk to, and they look at it with a stigma, almost like, oh, well, I don't need therapy, or they feel like they don't want to share that they are going through therapy, but it just seems so healthy and therapeutic, you know.
Absolutely. I think everyone could use a good therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I was reading a little bit about, you were saying, the importance of gratitude. And I thought, gosh, it's such a simple thing, right? Like you can take a moment and reflect on your life and be grateful for those things. And it sounds so simple and it seems so helpful, but yet so many of us don't do it. And it seems to have a profound impact, or at least in reading up on you, it seems like you believe that gratitude is a key pillar.
Absolutely. And having a positive outlook too. Like oftentimes we can let negative thoughts really take over, especially if we've been in traumatic situations. There could be a lot of negative self-talk that
Mhm.
someone may have, which is going to affect their self-confidence and their self-esteem. But when you just start flipping these to a positive and
Yeah.
being in a state of gratitude, you change your energy, you change your mind. Your brain wants you to be a truth teller. And
Mhm.
so if you say today is going to be a great day, it's
Right.
going to look for all of the ways that today is great. And
So
then
use
of course
that
you do
that
the
12
reverse. Yeah.
use that 12% of conscious mind to articulate some gratitude
Yes.
to kind of change your trajectory, if you will. And like you said, it's probably so simple as waking up and saying, today's going to be a great day.
Mhm.
Are there some other things that maybe they could be conscious of, like simple things like that in their life about their work or their relationship on the gratitude
Sure.
scale?
Yeah, you could keep a gratitude journal. And so, first thing when you wake up, just write down 3 things that you're thankful for. And then you can do the same thing before bedtime.
Right.
And also, exercise I like to do with couples before we get started with any exercise is to just look your partner in the eye and tell them 3 things that you're grateful for them, that they do for you or that you really love about them, and just revisiting that piece.
Hmm.
Sometimes couples can get into this pattern of critiquing the other person and only saying, what's wrong, but what about what's right? And really looking at that and celebrating it.
That is so important. Last week I was interviewing someone and I was talking about that, and I said it's so easy for couples to sometimes get into bad habits and they don't realize it. Like even just how you are maybe talking to each other or your irritability, and it can lead you down a path that then it degrades the relationship. When I think if you could be more conscious and catch that like right off the bat, and like you just said, take a moment like to just tell your partner 3 things that you're great. I mean, who even does that? I don't think a lot of people do that.
Yeah. And it's something you could create like a ritual around too, like something you do before bedtime or something you do at dinner time.
Right, right. Like just get used to the habit. And there's so many people we talk to, and when we talk to them, we bring up like how to manifest a healthier life and how to be, like you said, grateful and things like that. If there's any like pillars that you think, could help some of these people, live a healthier life. Like you just mentioned journaling, which I think a lot of people don't do either. And I have to say I don't do it. And maybe I should now. But just being conscious of those kind of things and activities that could help you have this healthier life.
Yes, definitely. And practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
And it's about progress, not perfection. Like
Yeah.
every day, every small action that you do to build more gratitude, more awareness, a
Mhm.
healthier lifestyle.
Mhm. Yeah, that's another thing, like, I think we underestimate the value of, like, exercising and
Mhm.
certainly feeding yourself good, healthy foods. Because I do think that if you eat, like, a high carb, fat, salt, it's gonna affect your mood. It could maybe even cause, like, a high low with the sugar, and then you're depressed. I'm not an
100%.
expert by any means, but I'm just thinking, like, trying to be conscious of that. And I mean, I'm not saying let's all be like the perfect person, like, oh, I eat everything perfect and I exercise and I tell my partner 3 times a day all the gratitude. But being more mindful of healthier habits and journaling, I think definitely can help people who are in these situations, or just everybody really, just to be living a healthy lifestyle. And if there's anything else, you think, they could be doing, we should be doing, please, elaborate, because I think those are the basics, right? But, is there something a little deeper that we might not know about?
I feel like after someone's been in a traumatic situation, especially if there has been some domestic violence, their self-esteem really takes a hard hit, and their self-confidence and their
Mhm.
ability to feel effective in the world can feel challenged. So anything that they can do to rebuild that confidence and really rebuild themselves.
Mm.
People that are in controlling relationships, they may lose their sense of self and have to rediscover, who am I without this person telling me what to do?
Yeah.
Um, so just like going on that self-discovery journey and really falling in love with yourself and appreciating yourself is very important.
Yeah, I also think that just made me think about, being productive. I think that idle time is sometimes not good. I mean, I think that we need time to relax and, refresh and, have some downtime. But I also think that getting busy could be very helpful. I know for me and myself and my makeup, when I have, like, sometimes when I look at my calendar, it's quite busy most of the time. If it's not, sometimes I go, oh my, because I run a company too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my calendar, it's looking a little light, and I'm just a person that I get energy off of being very busy, very productive, and I almost sometimes can't enjoy that glass of wine or going out somewhere unless I've, like, completed, this, that, and the other, and my task. And I don't you think that's kind of beneficial too for some people going through a transformation?
Purpose is very important. Finding your purpose and a way to be of service, a way to give back. And if those two things are combined, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes they're two separate things, and
Mm.
that's okay too. But yes, that's very important.
Yeah, because I think that's where people get a little lost sometimes when their life has changed and maybe they're not with that abusive partner and they're trying to start over, and there's this loneliness of, well, what do I do with myself? And I think sometimes they want to stay in a relationship because it's just company and complacency, and getting kind of uncomfortable with yourself while you're kind of like, okay, this is new. I wake up and, I'm got to create my own day and happiness. But maybe, like, using some of the things you've said is getting them on that path and getting busy, having purpose. And then you said also giving back. That's another, like, I didn't think about that. That's a wonderful thing to do, right?
Yeah, and that uncomfortable feeling you're talking about, I tell my clients, like, that's where massive change happens and occurs. If you can just lean into those feelings, like on the other side, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
That's so hard though, isn't it, to lean into that uncomfortableness? Like, it's like, when you go to a party and you're the only one there and you don't really know anybody, it's
Sure.
hard to, like, get in there, expose yourself, start conversations with people that you don't know. It's like so uncomfortable. But once you do, once you start talking to people, like you said, it's growth, right?
Yes, absolutely. And growth takes time, one step at a time. You're not going to do all of it all at once, but every little step counts.
Yeah, so and I guess embrace the uncomfortableness, embrace kind of your new transformation. Look for these healthier habits. Look, be more conscious. I'm still blown away by only 12% of our mind is conscious, because I'm like, what the heck is that other 88% up to? You know, but well, I want to thank you for coming on. I'd love you to give a little spiel on where people can find you, and if they want to tap into your skills and utilize you to help them on a better path, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely. I'm located in Beverly Hills, California, and you can email me, Melissa at healingthelove.com, or you can text or call my work line 310-770-1934.
Fantastic. Well, I sure learned the new things today, so I really appreciate that, and I bet a lot of people did too as well. I really thank you for coming on, Dr. Melissa, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk again in the future.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Okay, my pleasure. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.